H.O.M.E. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yo, we are back, man. H.O.M.E. House of Melanated Excellence. It's got the God all day, PS40 Mill, and we got Sara Lena here coaching us up on how to be better informed on how to communicate with our spouses. You know, me and myself, I've been with my woman for over 20 years, been married for about 14. The guy's
You're a
been
seasoned veteran.
you would think, but I feel like a rookie. Like every,
I know it. I'm like,
I'm
God,
always a
God
rookie, bro. I'm always a rookie.
what?
Yeah, man.
What?
So, and
Yes, yes.
and so communication, right? Let's go with communication. I find myself walking on eggshells, like it's almost like I'm walking on a minefield, right? So
Yes,
if I
that's
go
more
too
accurate.
far to the left, boom. If I go a little bit too far for the right, kablow. If I go straight up the middle, it's kaput. You know what I'm saying? It's like no, everywhere I go, there's no safe space. So if I say there's an issue, that issue turns into a defense, and now I have to go back into my own history of 20 years of the things that I've done wrong. So as a man, how do we can we commandeer the the communication or the argument or the conversation when it starts to become a finger pointing contest? How do we as men handle that kind of conversation with our women?
Well, it has to be a collaborative effort. It can't just be something that the man does. It has to be the woman has to want to receive. She has to want to understand. She has to care about your concerns and your
Right.
feelings and how whatever she did was problematic or how it affected you. If she's selfish, or I'm not saying this about your wife, but in general, because it's something that's very, very common. If she's a woman that's spoiled, or if she, a lot of times men contribute to women being spoiled. But if she's spoiled, or if she's selfish, or if she's just not used to anybody calling her out or anything, if she's not used to having to hold herself accountable, it doesn't really make a difference what you say or how you say it. She's not going to receive it. She's going to be in defense mode. She's going to be in lawyer mode, or she's going to shut down. That's just,
You
she's
said
going to
lawyer
dismiss it.
mode?
Lawyer mode. Lawyer mode is when someone listens with the intention to
To fight.
discredit, debate,
Yes.
debunk, disprove. They're not trying to understand. They're quick to interject. They're quick to point out what they disagree with. They're quick to be in opposition. They're quick to go into explaining or justifying. They're quick to try to prove a point. They're focusing on who's at fault. It's never really okay. I want to understand. I want to receive. I want to help alleviate this problem. I care that you're hurting. It's never that. It's just they go into lawyer mode where it's just like, okay, I am either on defense or offense right now. So they just have a lot of rebuttals, pretty much.
And
Um,
where does that come from? Like, what is that like? Because that's a lack of accountability. I mean, it's almost like you are not willing to investigate, what's going on to solve the problem. But at work or in the workplace, you're able to do that, right? You know what I'm saying? There's a consequence if you don't do that at the workplace. You can actually lose your job, which is going to then affect your finances. So you have more tolerance and patience in that forum, but then when it comes to your own home, it's non-existent. So they have the ability to do that. Why does it stop when it comes to the brother, the man, the husband?
because you all accept it.
Mm.
I mean, you get what you accept, you get what you expect, you get what you reflect in this world. And so, one of the things, like you said, what is something that a man can do? Of course, your delivery is going to matter. Of course, just the way that you're communicating. If you're speaking to her in a way that's accusatory or demeaning or belittling, if
Such
you're
as?
talking, if you're okay, if you're using names,
Okay.
or if you're calling her stupid or something like that, or you're saying what you did was stupid. A lot of times to men that's just being honest. You're like,
Yeah.
well, it's
Yeah, I'm about
stupid.
to say what it is stupid.
But right, most women are
Okay.
going to automatically go into defense mode if you do that, because now not only are you insulting her, but now she feels it's a critique. You feel like she feels like she has to defend herself and probably
Mm.
give you some of that energy back. As women, we're going to multiply what you give us, you know. And
Word.
I always encourage my ladies not to multiply anything that you don't want to continue happening. But naturally, that's what women are going to do. You give it to her, she's going to give it right back to you, right? The thing about it, a more effective way, I'll say this, more productive way for a man to tell a woman that she did something that was foolish is to actually explain the consequence of the action. Like this thing that you did, it was dangerous because of XYZ. And if you were to continue doing this, this is what could happen. Like actually making it a teacher learner opportunity, put her in a position
Mm.
where she's actually able to learn something from this mistake, as opposed to you insulting her intelligence. Don't insult her intelligence, nurture her intelligence, pour into her, teach her, guide her, lead her, you know, instead of
Oh,
just saying
okay.
you're stupid, you know.
Got you.
So it
Gotcha.
really does, a man's delivery does matter, but if you are not used to your woman receiving any type of guidance or anything, a lot of times men are discouraged in that regard. They feel like, well, I don't need to say nothing because she not gonna listen. She could do what she want to do regardless. You know, I think that if men just, regardless of how their woman receives it, just stay firm and just be unapologetic about your manhood. If you want to be a leader, if you want to be respected as one, don't ever let go of that because someone isn't receiving it. Because the moment you do, they're going to lose respect for you and they're not going to listen to you,
Mm.
you know. So just staying firm on that
I
with
like what you said. Oh, go
being
ahead.
insulting,
With what? Say it
without
again.
giving insults.
Gotcha. You said something earlier. You said like how a woman she multiplies what you give her, and you said you don't, but you like to tell your clients that you don't choose to multiply what, like the frustrate, what was it, the
Yeah, don't multiply anything that you don't want to see
there you
more of
go.
in your relationship. So,
There
for
you go.
example, if you're having a conversation, let's say you and I are talking, right, Brother
Hmm.
Jermaine, and you start yelling at me, you get aggressive. If I receive that and I multiply and I give it right back at you, what I'm saying to you is, I'm okay with this standard. I'm okay with us talking this way. I'm okay with this being the tone of our conversation.
Mm.
I'm not okay with that. I'm not about to be sitting around yelling and I don't like
Yeah.
being yelled at. So what I'm
Yeah.
going to do is I'm going to lead with my femininity and I'm going to use the power that I have by remaining soft and gentle. And then you will act accordingly. But if I
Mm.
Mm.
take it and I multiply it, then that says to you, okay, this is how we just gonna talk. We're gonna be competing. We neither one of us gonna be heard. And I don't like repeating conversations.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
If that happens, we're just gonna have to talk about it all over again. So instead, I'm like, I'm gonna stay gentle. I'm gonna stay soft. And when you see that I am remaining in my feminine energy, why would you keep cursing? Why would you keep yelling? Why would you be aggressive? You have
Mm.
no reason to be. So in that moment, I took something where I felt unheard or hopeless, but I used the power and the influence of my feminine energy and completely transformed the situation to benefit us both.
Wow.
Mm.
See, one thing you're definitely doing or have done is recognize your power. You
Yes.
know, So, and you're speaking about, recognize your power. So most women, I'm thinking they don't recognize they have that power. And so when you recognize you have that power, and you choose to use it and seeing it work, man, that's a powerful
Yes.
thing. I applaud your sister for real, for real.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of
Mhm.
women, unfortunately, they believe, and not just in communication, but even in the workforce, they believe that the only way to be heard or respected or seen or valued is to operate like a man, to speak like a man,
Mm,
to act like a man. And masculinity is powerful within itself. It absolutely is. However, it drains us, it overwhelms us, it
Mm.
puts us in a position to where people don't want to listen to us. People are going to continue competing with us. People are going to try to make our lives harder. That is not what our power is. That's where your power is.
Mm.
Our power is in the essence of being a female, which is femininity,
Mm.
right? And so when we are able to embody that and exude that, we're able to recognize just how much especially a masculine man, just how much you all cherish us, how much you
Mm.
cover us, how much you protect us, how much you respect us. We don't have to argue. We don't have to yell. We don't have to curse. We don't have to do any of that to be heard, to be
Mm.
understood. All we have to do is just speak from the heart, be open and honest about what we feel, what we need,
There
and
you
we're
go.
usually okay.
That's
Right.
right.
But a lot of women take a more masculine, manly approach, and it just results in them feeling hopeless at the end. And I always say, if you feel hopeless during a conversation as a woman, it's because you're not using the power of your femininity.
Right.
Mm.
Oh,
That's real.
growing up, grandma, she had a role, you know what I'm saying? And grandpa, he had a role. And they didn't really have no quarrels with that role. I remember grandma would call grandpa, ask him what you want for dinner. He'd tell her and she'd have it ready. Fast forward 2023, that's really non-existent, right? The even saying the word role can start a argument.
Word.
So
Mhm.
how do we reimagine so-called roles? What's the purpose of a role, and how does it benefit us to buy into this role aspect of relationships?
The purpose of the role is success. The purpose of the role is
Success.
Ooh.
results. If you
Mm.
think about any team,
Ooh.
any band, any successful group, they all have roles. They all have their
Oh.
own position. And if you have people, let's say if you're the basketball team or football team or whatever, if everybody's trying to play the same position, they're going to lose.
Mm.
Mm.
Right? You have to play your position. The same thing with the band. If everybody is just playing the same one instrument, you're not going to sound very good, right?
Right.
Everyone has a role, and by doing that, like the brother Jermaine said earlier, that's harmonizing. That's where we balance. That's how we complement one another. That's how we build on each other's strengths. That's how we enhance each other's lives. How we improve each other. So being able to recognize the value in whatever your role is, how you contribute to the mutual goals in your relationships that are going to lead to success,
Right.
right? And you
Mm.
stay in your lane and don't really focus on what the other person is doing. Just have faith that they're doing what they're supposed to do. You have high expectations of yourself, and realize that it's a compliment to you to even be considered to be in a role, because that means
Mm.
that someone finds you worthy enough to be their teammate, right?
Wow. Right.
So yeah, roles are very important to me. I don't like the idea of being in a relationship and you're both just doing whatever, because that means that there are no real expectations, there are no real standards. And you're both going to just keep having, you're going to have a bunch of clashes. There are going to be power struggles because it's like you're competing for the same position. I don't need to
Mm.
compete for my position because I know what my role is. I know what I'm good at.
Mm.
I know what my part
Come
is.
on now. Yeah.
And the areas in which I excel, my husband does not try to assert his dominance. He's like, "Oh, that's your role." He was just
That's
telling me
your.
the other day, um, in certain aspects of the relationship, he was like, "You're Batman right here. I'm just Robin." And I
Right.
thought it was
Right. Right.
funny.
That's dope.
Mm.
I love that, he's confident enough to be able to say, this is something that you excel at, not me. So
Mm.
that's fine. I'm here to support you in this area, but that's me knowing my role. That means
Right.
this is where I step up. This is where I lead in a sense, and he
Mm.
leads in his way. And together we make a doable. And that's what happens when you
Right.
have a couple where you both embrace your roles. You make a
Mm.
power couple, really. You have success. But
Mm.
if you're going against one another, you're going to be stagnant so far.
Wow. Wow.
That's real.
Yeah, that was definitely a great
Wisdom
answer.
right there.
Yeah, for sure. Man.
Mm.
Um in your coaching, you don't just give like positive affirmations, right? And say, I will be a better woman, I will be a better mother, right? you
Yeah.
you go you go deeper, right? You bring in the science. I see where you utilize archetypes, right? In your teachings. Um
Mm.
how do you break down or utilize the archetype? It reminds me of brother Master Yao, because he had archetypes for the masculine and archetypes for the feminine as well.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you incorporate the archetype to build upon the roles and how we embody these different energies and psychological aspects of ourselves?
Well, we incorporate archetypes for a couple of different reasons, but one of my favorites are the five helpmate styles, right? And the reason why I utilize that one with my clients, and it's a very popular one that men love it too, is to help ladies understand that there's more than one way that you can be a helpmate. There's more than one way that you can be supportive, because that is another one that when women hear helpmate, they're like, ugh, like,
Yeah.
like they don't like, help me. I'm not.
Ugh.
But then when they're able to understand that there are different styles of it. And so I'll break down the five styles quickly for you. The first style is going to be the traditional style, kind of like what you said, your grandma, which you saw with them, is that the traditional style is the one that has more of the homemaker qualities. She takes care of the cooking and the cleaning and everything at home so that her husband doesn't have to. He can come home, rest, rejuvenate, recharge, and to perform well at work. Right.
Mm-hmm.
She takes care of the babies, whatever his physical needs are, she handles that. Make sure he's straight in that regard. And so that's how she helps. That's how she makes his life easier. That's how she assists him to ensure that he is able to just do what he needs to do, get the cheese, bring it home, and the engine runs smoothly from there. The second helpmate style is going to be the assistant. The assistant is going to be the woman that's more hands on. So she is very confident in whichever role her partner, her husband gives her when it comes to helping. So let's say that he has an online business or something. He may say, I need you to do the clerical work for me, or I might need you to be a virtual assistant for me. She'll take that role. Let's say he has a brick and mortar business. I need you to come into the shop. She'll
Right.
come into the shop, right? So
Yeah.
whatever she needs to do, she feels really good when she's serving, when she's helping someone else reach their goals, specifically her husband, and she takes pride in that. She waits for instruction. She doesn't just jump in and just do just anything. She
Right.
does
Right.
what is necessary for the goals to be accomplished, right? So that's going
Mm.
to be the assistant helpmate style. The third helpmate style is going to be the cheerleader. That is the woman that is going to be very encouraging. She's very uplifting, lighthearted, very positive. She lets her man know that she's proud of him, that she believes in him. So she really pours into him in that way. She's like the battery in his back. She charges him up.
Mm.
She may
Mm.
stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning, not necessarily doing anything hands on, but just being present, just pushing him like when he feels tired or discouraged. Saying, "No, babe, you got this. Don't give up. I'm here for you." Like that's who the cheerleader is for her
Mm.
man.
Gotcha.
She really does embody a lot of those qualities that makes a man want to keep going. That's
Right.
what she is. The fourth helpmate style is going to be the partner. Now, the last two are the most common that I see nowadays with women, quote unquote, modern women. The partner is going to be a woman. She's like if he's the captain, she's a co-captain. Like she is a teammate, really. The issue with the partner is that usually she has her own sets of goals. She has her own aspirations, which is great. It's that oftentimes she is married to that. She's not really focusing much on him and what he has working on. But if she's able to recognize that the way that she contributes to the mutual goals is through her strengths, through whatever resources that she's acquired, through her skill sets, that is how she helps. It's not that she's inferior. It's not that she's inadequate. It's not
Mm.
that she's beneath him. It's her using whatever it is that she does have, whatever it is she's good at, her strengths, and she compliments him and they come together. And that is how she helps, by being a teammate,
Gotcha.
not by being underneath him. Like she's not in the
Okay.
back seat, she's up right beside, right? But the partners, they do tend to have a lot of power struggles in that type of relationship dynamic
Mm.
in the beginning, because she usually she feels like she needs a helpmate herself. She
Right.
doesn't
Right.
like the
Right.
idea of being a
Right.
helpmate a
Right.
lot of times. And so usually if she can just let lower that pride and that ego and say, I'm still a helpmate, I'm just helping in a different type of way.
Right. Gotcha.
I'm not necessarily waiting for instruction or anything. I know what I need to do. I just need to do it with right intention, right?
Mm.
Mm.
Okay.
That's the partner. And the last is going to be the multiplier. Like I said before, as women, we're all multipliers. But with the multiplier helpmeet style, she's going to be more of a visionary, where she might hear her man speak about his goals and his dreams and aspirations, and she can literally vision everything that he's saying, but sometimes greater, right? And so
Right.
what
Mm.
often is that the multiplier will use that as a green light to jump into action and just start doing stuff.
Right.
Meaning, like her man might say, I want to start a business. And the next week she's gotten him an LLC and she's planning this and she's planning
Wow.
that. She started doing stuff. And sometimes that's great because like we're getting stuff going. In other situations, it's like, well, man now feels pressured because what if he wasn't ready for that? What if he was just saying it's an idea and now he
Mm.
feels like, well, now I have to commit to something that I was just
Mm.
talking.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Gotcha.
Right. Right.
And sometimes he feels it's almost as if like she's dictating and she takes over, where it's like now her goal, almost in a sense, and now she's telling him what he
Mm.
needs to do. Like she's his manager in a
Right.
sense,
Right.
right? The multiplier needs to understand that she can still take ideas from good to great. And she does this with good intention. Usually it's because she just believes in her man. She wants to see him succeed. She can understand that she can still do that, but she needs to learn how to ask first. Like just
Um.
ask, I have a suggestion. Would you like to hear it? Or would you like for me to help you get this going? I know someone that could get this started for you. Would you like me to contact them? As opposed to just jumping in and just doing stuff,
Wow.
that would
Huh.
be the multiplier help me. And the last two are the most common that I see
The
to date.
Mm.
cheerleader, and the partner.
And the
Yeah.
partner
Yeah.
and the multiplier are the
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 two most
multiplier.
okay. Okay.
common.
Okay.
The
Okay.
cheerleader is the one that most men are missing.
Yeah. Definitely.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, certainly. So you were talking about the you know asking a question with the last one, the what was that, the
Multiplier.
multiplier.
Uh-huh.
um yeah, what, well, how is that rough? I mean, well, I guess well, in a bad way, I guess, asking a question, and you got someone who seems like they're taking the initiative, to kind of get things going, and the woman, they feel like they're getting taking initiative. And man, how do you, I mean, how do you do that? I mean, how do you make that feel, I guess, important? I guess a woman taking a step back and say, you know what, let me ask this question before I do this. I mean, I guess I'm trying to figure out.
So that would be again her assuming her role, understanding her
Okay.
position. If he says, I want you to be in this lane, I want you to get this done. I want you to take care of this, plan this, do that. Then yeah, she should just go. Right. The thing about the multiplier is that she doesn't ask questions. If it's something that
Mm.
he is not comfortable with, if it's something that he doesn't want to do, she does not check in first. She does not get his input.
Wow.
She just does what she thinks is best because
Gotcha.
she has now envisioned it the way she has visualized it. And
Right.
so now it's
Okay. Gotcha.
step by step based off of what she thinks is the best thing for him,
Right.
as
Okay.
opposed to
Gotcha.
what
Gotcha.
he thinks is. Does that make sense?
Okay, it's clear now. I understand that now. I got you. I got you. Okay.
I I think when it comes to marriage, we've been looking at it from a religious standpoint of being equally yoked and coming from the rib and these different types of things like that, right? So what what is marriage? Like how should we be looking at marriage in the correct sense? Because I think we're going off of this romanticized uh way of looking at marriage, right? Everything is all happy, the white picket fence, we won't. But that's not really the case. There's a level of work that takes place, and if you don't have the tools to build, then it can become very disastrous. So how should we really look at marriage as melanated people? What is it, and how should we really approach it?
Well, to me, it's always going to go back to what it is you desire as far as the desired outcome, what your goals are, what you're passionate about, what is it that you want to build, what is it that you want to
Mm.
accomplish, what you want to be remembered for. Are you trying to break generational curses? Like, what is it that you
Mm.
want, right? So when you're able to choose a partner, a teammate, a spouse based on that, then you feel confident that you married the right person. You're tied to, that's what it means, is that you're tied to the right person. So when there's conflict, when you're looking at that person, you're like, I just can't stand the sight of you right now.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the two of you can keep at the forefront of your mind whatever your mission statement is. This is our mission. This is why we're
Mm.
together as a couple. This is what we are brought together to do because we are supposed to accomplish this thing. We're building this thing together. We're doing this for our children, our grandchildren, our people, our community, or whatever. So to me, being married is definitely not about just romance. All of that stuff is wonderful,
Right, right,
but
right,
that comes and goes
right,
depending on how you feel.
right.
What we're working towards, that does not come and go. What we're building,
Mm.
that does
That's
not
right.
come and go. What we're passionate about, that does not come and go. That remains,
That's
right?
right.
And so if you're able to link with or connect with someone that shares that passion, that shares
Mm.
that intention, that wants that same thing with you, then it really does help you in those moments where it's just like, I'm done. It's like,
Gotcha.
no, you're not done because we haven't gotten what we're supposed to get to yet. We're still accomplishing this. If you get into a relationship just because of love, and there's no real purpose for your marriage. And I hate to say there's no purpose, but it isn't. There's no purpose. It's just you have a companion, you're lonely, you want someone to talk to, you want someone to satisfy you sexually, like that's the only purpose, then there is not going to be a lot of peace in your relationship
So,
because
Mm.
you're depending or relying on this other person to make you feel a certain type of way. There isn't anything of substance there. There's no real foundation. There's nothing you're working towards. Um,
Sara Lena, are you saying that love isn't enough? Are you saying that love
I mean,
isn't?
it's most definitely not enough. No, it is not.
Mm.
I'm most definitely saying
That's
that.
right.
Yes, yes. Especially when it comes to men. Like if a woman loves a man before she respects him, he does not feel loved in the relationship. And the reason why I say that is because you all think of love and respect in two completely different ways. A lot
Mm,
of
Mm.
think about why we love someone and has to do with science, oxytocin, dopamine, endorphins, all of these chemicals and hormones releasing, the way they make us feel, something they do for us, how they treat us, memories we have with this person. But when we think about why we respect someone, it doesn't have anything to do with that. It's
mm,
based on their character, their principles, how they represent themselves,
mm.
their reputation, how they handle situations. And so a lot of women don't value that stuff. They don't think about that stuff. They care about how this person makes them feel.
Feel.
Thing about
Wow.
that, feelings change. They're
Right.
fickle. And
Mm-hmm.
get into the relationship thinking, well, I love him and I want to show them I love him. But that switches. It's inconsistent,
That's right.
especially based off of how they up, what they were taught it means to show love. Some women were taught that, well, if I buy this for you, that means I love you. Or if I
Mm-hmm.
please you sexually, that means I love you. And a woman might do
Mm-hmm.
all of these things for her man, but he still does not feel love. So a woman should respect a man before she loves him. If not, he's not going to feel loved, and there's going to be a lot of problems in the relationship. Um,
Mm.
yes, love is definitely not enough because it's not something that is sustainable. That's not something that you can guarantee. You can't guarantee that you're going to feel the same way about someone next month or next year. You have no idea, but again what your purpose is, what it is you're trying to accomplish together, whether or not you complement each other.
Right,
Whether
right.
or not this person has a certain character, a certain set of principles and morals. That stuff is more important.
Mm.
When you say a woman should respect a man, what you mean respect as in respecting his wishes, his what's important to him?
Respecting him as a person.
Oh,
To
oh,
respect
okay,
him as
okay.
a person. Well, the thing is, we respect people differently than, just when you just think about just random people in the world, when you
Mm-hmm.
just are a respectful person, that's going to be just being mannerable, being considerate, treating people how you want to be treated, like that. But
Okay.
in a relationship, in a marriage with your husband, with your partner, you're going to respect him by holding him in high regards. You're
Mm,
going
okay.
to respect him by being mindful of how you speak to him and what you say to him. You're going to respect him by accepting his guidance. You're going to respect
Wow.
him by trusting his decisions. You're going to respect him in a different type of way. You respect him based off of his role, his
Right.
position, the leader, protector, provider, any of these things. You respect him within that area. right? And a lot
Right.
of times what that means is that you show that you value that. And when you value something, you usually have use for it. When you have use for something, you appreciate it, you
Mm,
cherish it. And when you appreciate and cherish something, you are willing to just let it go, meaning you're not going to switch how you feel or how you treat that person just because you're in a bad mood. You're still going to
gotcha.
be respectful. Even if you're not in a good mood, you're not going to go cursing and calling them out their name because you respect
Mm,
them.
Yes.
Because if a
mm.
person doesn't have to do anything for you to respect them.
Mm,
You don't even have to know someone. You can think about someone
Come
that you
on.
respect that you've
Mm,
never met, and it's just based off of their character or something and just
mm.
what they do for people or whatever. But
Yeah.
not something that they made you feel a certain type of way, right? And you think about, well, how would you treat that person? How would you speak to that person? It's going to be completely different. I ask ladies that all the time when they have issues with respect. I say, name 3 men that you respected before your spouse, and usually they can't name any. But some might say something like Malcolm X or something like that. And I'm like, okay, well, if you were to have met him, how would you speak to him? Like, how would you
Mm,
treat him? Okay,
yeah.
well, this is how you treat someone that you respect, that you think highly of, that you look at in the eyes of an admirer, as a leader, protector, provider. And so if that is what you think of your husband, then why aren't you treating him that way?
wow.
So that's what I mean by respecting him, just respecting him as a man, his character, his principles. Yeah.
Definitely. We're gonna take a break, but before we go, I met a lady from Indonesia, and she had married a older Caucasian man, and she was considered to be a gold digger and that type of thing. Make a long story short, she told me that she didn't love him, but she admired him. And that was the first time
Mm,
I actually heard a woman say that. And it seems like the admiration held a lot more weight than the love. And when she started speaking about him, even
mm,
though she didn't love him, she just had her whole energy changed. She started speaking because he was no longer living. But her admiration for him still carried over even in his demise. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's something there to be said about being respected and being admired by your partner, man. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just like a
no
mother can
doubt.
love her son, but I mean, she respect him.
Mm,
Mm,
So it's very different. A lot of women love their husbands the way a mother would love their son. They don't respect.
talk
They love
about it.
them,
mm,
Talk about it.
so yeah,
Oh
it's
man.
a huge
Oh,
difference. If a
mm.
oh.
woman doesn't
Listen.
respect
Goodness.
her man, if she loves him first, then he's not going to feel loved because
Wow.
he needs the respect. Yeah.
Wow. Yo, this is H.O.M.E. We're taking a small break, man. We got Sara Lena. Man, stop playing with us,
Whew,
man.
whew, whew.
Hey,
I don't know if they're ready, man. God,
yo,
yo, man.
listen. The
We'll be
purpose
back.
of role is for success. Put that on your
Mm.
wall.